This question says, express 90 over 135 in its simplest form. Now, solving questions like this is just like reducing it to the lowest form, So we have 90 over 135. Now let me divide. When a number is ending with 0 and it's also ending with 5, then that means that number is divisible by 5. That is, any number ending with 0 or 5 can be divided by 5. So let's use 5 to divide these numbers. That is, whatever I use to divide the numerator is what I'm going to use to divide the denominator. Now let's move on. That means 90 divided by 5, 135 divided by 5. So when I divide 90 by 5, I should be having 18. And when I divide 135, when I divide it by 5, I should be having 27. Now when I look at these two numbers, 18 and 27, you will agree with me that there should be a number that can still divide these numbers forward. Okay, because you're preparing for your exams, so I should say let's use the highest possible number, and that is 9. So divide both sides, that is numerator and denominator, you divide it by what? By 9. Over 9 divided by 9 and divided by 9. So 18 divided by 9, you agree with me that it is 2, and 27 divided by 9, you agree with me that it is 3. So my answer is 2 over 3, which is option D. The correct option is option D. Moving on to the second question. It says, find the HCF of 26, 65, and 91. HCF simply means highest common factors. So in solutions like this, I'll always advise my students, try and start with the factors. What's the meaning of factor? That is, what do I mean by factors? So factors simply means two numbers that when multiplied together, it will actually produce that particular number. So we have several of them. For 26, we have 1 and 26. 1 times 26 will give us 26. 2 times 13 will give us 26. There are no other numbers, you can check yourself. There are no other numbers that when we multiply them together will give us 26 apart from 1 and 26 and 2 and 13. So therefore, the factor of 26 are 1, 2, 13, and 26 itself. Now moving on, let's look at the factors of 65. The factors of 65. Now you will agree with me that 1 is a factor of 65. Now I'll try 1 and 65. That is 1 times 65 will give me 65. 2 cannot go in 65, so I move on. 3 will not divide 65 evenly. No. 4 will not divide 65 evenly. So 5 can divide 65 evenly, and that will be what? 13. No other numbers apart from 1, 2, 5, 1, 5, 13, and 65 itself. So that means 1, 5, 13, and 65. Those are the factors of 65. Now let's go to 91. We have 1 is a general factor. 1. So 1 is a general number that is the general factor of 91. Okay, when I try 2 cannot divide 91 evenly. 3 will not divide 91 evenly. 4, 5, 6, 7 can divide 91. Yeah, 7 can divide 91. So that was 7 times 13 will give you 91. So I can now say 1 is a factor, 7 is a factor, 13 is a factor, and 91 itself. Now, what are the common factors? Now let's take a look. 1 is a common factor, and 13. 1 and 13 are the common factors. Now, what is the highest common factor? The highest common factor is so therefore 13, which is option B. Option B, which is option B. Now moving on to the last question I have here. It says simplify 3/5 multiplied by 5/6 close bracket plus 1/2. In cases like these, we use BODMAS. I know you must have heard about BODMAS, and if you have not heard about it, B stands for bracket, O stands for off, D stands for division, M for multiplication, A for addition, and S for subtraction. So we solve for bracket first because according to the order they can, that's how we solve them. For bracket first, that is whatever you have in a bracket, you solve it first. Now looking at what we have in our bracket, we have 3/5 times 5/6. So what we do here is that we solve this bracket first. Since it is multiplication, we can reduce them. That is, you're multiplying numerator for numerator and denominator for denominator. But if in the process you have what can reduce the numerator at the denominator, then you can reduce them. What do I mean? We have 3/5 times 5/6. I could have said 3 times 5 15, 5 times 6 30 and do this, but here I can say that since 3 is at the numerator, 6 is at the denominator, 5 is here, 5 is here. When a number is at the numerator and its multiple is at the denominator, then they can reduce each other. What do I mean? What do I mean by that? I can simply say 3 in 3, 1. So 3 divided by 3, 1. 3 divided by 6 here will give us 2. 5 divided by 5 here, 1. 5 divided by 5 here, 1. So I'm left with 1 times 1 divided by 1 times 2. That means 1 times 1 will give me 1 divided by 1 times 2 will give me 2. Now we have solved this bracket. So additionally, we now have plus 1/2. So which simply means, since they are having the same base, I don't need to stress myself here. I'll pick one of the bases. Then 1 plus 1 will give me what? 2. And 2/2 will be equals to 1. And when you see, this is option D, which is the correct option. So I would be giving you an example question for you to solve on your own, checking everything from the beginning, and you will solve them on your own so as to be able to be sure that you can solve this kind of question should in case it comes out in your exams. Okay, these are the example question. It says express 72/104 in its simplest form. You have the options there. You can pause the video, do it. Find the HCF of 16, 36 and 92. That's the second question. And the third question says simplify open bracket 5/6 times 3/10 plus 3/5. So try that. Put the answer. You can put the answer to each one in the comment section below. Thank you. Please do well to subscribe to my YouTube channel.